You're on the party line with Sarah and Christy. This is I'm on the Phone podcast, where we're healing out loud, sharing quirky stories, and laughing at the mess along the way. So grab a coffee, a bestie, settle in, and let's talk.
Oh my goodness. Well, we got through like one question last week of what is going to have to be a multi-part series, I believe.
Probably.
Because I feel like these are such good questions to go through.
Well,
So, yeah, I've been enjoying it. And the question we went through last week was, when did you first realize you were living in fawn mode? No, so this week, the question we're looking at is, what did being loving, in air quotes, mean in your family or church? Yeah.
I'm gonna get
I'll
mad
give a
this
very
episode.
quick, I can give you a very quick answer to that.
Please go ahead.
Being loving meant disappearing yourself and making everyone else happy.
People pleasing. Yep.
Compliance.
Hiding what you really thought, who you really are. Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
Keep your mouth
especially
shut.
like, yes, like at church, like I know they told you to talk about your struggles, but like if you went to the altar, then they assumed that you had backslid.
Yep.
And it was hard to just deal with like just basic life issues, and all of them got turned into sin issues. It was really difficult to be open and honest with anyone, because if you had a struggle, then you were sinning.
100%.
Like, it always got turned into that. And so it was really difficult to find help. And then, of course, having a therapist was not generally looked well on.
Nope.
And then if you did go to a therapist, it had to be someone who believed exactly the same way you did. Otherwise, you would be like poisoned from the outside world. So yeah, you really just got yourself between a rock and a hard place.
The more I come away from it and the more I look back and like what you're saying and stuff like that, like it was not always like spoken specifically in those terms, but this is all understood. Like this is all things that we understand from very early, from infancy to, when we leave the home, well, even and after. These are rules that are unspoken, like sometimes spoken,
Lots of
but a lot of the time, like we just knew it was like a stupid thing, or what am I saying? Like well, I know that for my family just laughed at people who needed therapy, who needed a therapist, and it was like they weren't strong people, or they were trying to get attention, or that kind of thing. And so there was never like these unspoken rules. The more I look back, it sounds even more like a cult than what I realized,
the farther you get away, the more you see it.
Yes.
Yeah, it becomes so crystal clear how cultish and how much of a cult it really is, because of like so much of these rules are unspoken and taught like via almost osmosis.
Absolutely.
It's a little bit mind-boggling. And you said people or your family would make fun of people who needed therapy, and even that phrase, like attention seeking, like that is that brings a lot of memory to me, because I heard that phrase a lot, because anyone who got slightly outside the lines was just wanted attention.
Well,
and
your direct authority figure, I don't know if you want me to say your mother, but
oh no, it was my mom. She was
she I remember several times you telling me, like, just stories where she was saying that if they did this or that, it was singing, I think, or they were
Oh
just
yeah.
showing off or wanted attention instead of, which is just, oh my goodness. Okay, we don't have to go into that, but yes, yes, it was used a
Yeah.
lot. And I can tell a lot of your
Well, and
stories
like,
are used a lot in your culture, like your upbringing.
oh yeah. Yeah. But like, even like outside of singing, if it was a young person who, I mean, again, hindsight here, they desperately needed therapy. They were like in a highly dysfunctional environment and were completely reacting normally to abuse.
Yes.
But because they were acting out, all like it was always like, oh, they just want attention.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course
Mm-hmm.
they freaking want attention. They don't have
Absolutely.
any healthy attention. They're trying to
Absolutely.
find it.
Yeah. Because yeah. No, we just made our adults lazy. So
Mm-hmm.
where it comes with like even discipline, like when you're trying to instruct your children even and everything like that, like it was just all about that control, the control of their emotions, the control of their attitudes, like what they showed to everybody. Don't embarrass me. Don't make this look, those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
Children were to be seen and not heard. I heard that quite a bit growing up.
Mm-hmm.
All of these things, just conditioning that child to be controlled by another or by an adult.
Yeah.
And we gave absolutely no, like we were just trained to put no effort whatsoever into helping our children with their emotions and helping them
Oh yeah.
in hard times. It was
Well,
just,
emotions just aren't
we just made
allowed.
those, yeah, we just made those, it was just a lazy way out.
But just kind of, so the next question is what happened when you had needs? And we've already kind of been talking about that a little bit because, like I said, being loving meant shutting yourself down. And
Yes.
so I just think of, just in general, like if you looked at the group of people who you knew had needs, right? And how they were viewed.
Mhm.
Being needy was also problematic,
Yeah.
um, because no one wanted to take the time and effort to help them
Mhm.
because it never worked because they were never actually addressing the problem because everything got spiritually bypassed
Mhm.
and turned into some funky spiritual need or problem.
Yeah.
And it was all just like platitudes of like, oh, well, God's doing this to make you stronger, which is such bullshit.
Yes.
Like,
And
or God has got this trial for you because you're lacking in some way and you need to learn a lesson.
right.
Um, it always turned into a kind of a victim blaming.
Mhm.
It was
Mhm.
always your
Very much
fault,
so. Mhm.
and it was a spiritual problem with you.
Yeah, with you. There was something wrong internally. When they would bring people in, like to the fold, and it was like considered a good thing that they started coming to church, even if they had not gotten saved or anything like that. It was always this. I mean, I would literally hear people say, not necessarily to them, but like to me or in conversation, that if they would basically just straighten up and fly right, then everything else would fall into place, quite literally. Like if they would quit doing their
Yes.
hair, they would quit buying on Sunday, they would start wearing skirts and dresses if they were a woman, if they would quit drinking and smoking, if they would do all of these things and conform to this way of life, then God would help them. God would do so much more for them, which is complete and utter crap. Like, what the heck are we talking about? This is not this is the God that we presented to people, and oh, it's devastating, and I am completely and totally ashamed and embarrassed that I ever was a part of that kind of jargon. Like, just the language is so abusive. And I
Yeah.
honestly, or if they just went and started reading the KJV, you know, I mean, what? That is the most ludicrous thing. And this is what people
I
would
mean,
like ride or die on. They really do.
yeah. And
I'm
honestly, to
dumbfounded.
me,
Like, I can't believe we ever
well,
did
it
this,
is.
Sarah.
It's insanity. It's complete insanity because
Mhm.
they're expecting deep psychological change from behavioral management and like
My word.
appearance. It's all about your
Yes.
appearance. If you change your appearance, then all these problems are going to go away.
Yeah.
Like we live in a world where no matter what's like you're going to have problems.
Right.
And a lot of this stuff is psychological. It's
Yeah.
based on your nervous system from your childhood because that's where your freaking nervous system learns how to behave.
Right.
But they're saying, oh, you can change your nervous system by putting on a fucking skirt,
Right.
like, or
Yeah.
stopping cutting your hair. Like,
Yeah.
what?
And they
And
were
honestly,
replacing the need for
oh,
therapy with this this controlled way of life. They just
yeah. And it's no
had to fit
wonder
into this mold.
it's
Yeah.
no wonder people were always so why they were always so confused and didn't know why things just like I've tried and I've tried and I've heard that I've tried and I've tried and I've tried and it's just not working. Well, no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah.
Like this is not the problem.
Right.
But what it
Exactly.
sounds like to me when people like when you put it in that language and just like, well, if you would put on X, Y, and Z, then your God will bless you. Well, that sounds like a freaking witch's spell. Like if you put in a newt and a goat heart and whatever, then this magic is going to happen.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds no different than these, crazy stories of people making sacrifices to God that don't make any sense.
Exactly.
Like throwing the virgins over the cliff, like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not much different because
No,
they're
it's not.
literally sacrificing them as a live death. They're killing them, just not physically.
Yeah. And they're against what we do, and we're against what they do, but it's all very much the same thing. I was listening to oh, it was a debate. It was a political debate actually, just the other day, and the guy who was talking was the leftist, and he was talking to a Republican, obviously, and they were debating about the situation with gender. I think it was like,
Mm.
and the guy was just like, "So do you think that the Republican was like, do you think there's more than two genders?" And he was just like, the leftist was like, "Yeah." And he said it in American culture there are two genders, but he said, but that's American culture. And he said, and if you look at other cultures, they identify gender very differently. And the way he explained it was really, really cool because it got me to thinking that is like literally about most things, is that it is cultural. We cannot look at
Well,
culture and say it's sin in one way. Now, there are moral rights and wrongs, obviously. There are things that are
right.
right and wrong. And obviously, you have law of the land, and you really need to keep it unless you want to spend, time in jail. But as far as like just, there
Like
is
your gender
so,
identity is people are so clueless around this and I was clueless. I still have a
I
lot to
was
learn,
too.
but I was so clueless around that too.
Yeah.
Like not understanding the difference between gender and sex. Like
Hmm.
it's because it is a cultural construct.
It
it's
is.
it's like it's saying so. I recently heard something. It was like when men say that they're emasculated, like somehow by doing a thing it takes away their masculinity. I'm like, you can't take away your masculinity. Like
Yes.
you just are.
Right.
And doing a thing or not doing a thing does not make you more or less of a man.
Of a man.
Or
Absolutely.
yeah, like whatever you
Yeah.
are. Like doing a thing or not doing a thing doesn't make me any more or less a woman. I just do the thing because either I
Yeah.
want to or I have to.
But we gender identify everything in life. We gender identify our
Oh yeah.
clothes, color, makeup,
Mm-hmm.
that was never gender specific. Like if you
It's
think about it,
hilarious.
when it was created in the very beginning,
Yes,
they
like
were
high
not
heels, makeup, and hose were originally for men.
all for men, every bit for men. And it was just like man-made rules, white man-made rules, that were just like,
European, yes.
just so completely ludicrous. And now we adopt it as being a sin, like a heaven or hell
Mm-hmm.
issue today. And I mean, you talk about like stress. We are putting more anxiety and stress on our children and on ourselves by believing this
Mm-hmm.
way. I mean, there is so much more freedom to be had in somebody's mindset and thinking when you get away from this Christian cult way of life.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I had to break it to somebody over the weekend.
Yes.
I do not identify as a Christian. And they were like, what?
Clarify that because I understand what you mean, but clarify that.
Oh, clarify the not identifying
Yeah,
as a Christian.
yeah.
Oh, okay. So I do not, basically, I don't want to be associated with anyone who calls themselves Christian. And Christian to me means, uh, not really sure. I'm not really sure how to clarify exactly, but Christian means a certain thing to me. And it means
Yeah,
where I came from. So
yeah.
I don't want to be identified as a homophobe. I don't want to be identified to say that that I'm going to that anybody's going to heaven or hell. That is not my right to judge other people. I don't have that right.
Mhm. Right.
Um, I want to be identified as a tolerant person. Like I do accept most people.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. Is there a better way to
Well,
sort
okay,
of?
so for me,
I haven't thought about it
um,
much.
we grew up as fundamentalists, like Christian fundamentalists, which has turned into Christian nationalists,
Okay.
um, and technically would be considered like Protestant in
Okay.
our beliefs.
Yes. Mm-mm. No.
And that is no longer where I land.
Mm.
I do not
Same.
believe in the same doctrines that, like, so PSA, so penal substitutionary atonement, which is um, just a fancy way to say, like, the whole, like, you know, Jesus died for our sins as an atonement. And so he accepted the courtroom punishment
Mhm.
for us um, so that we would not burn eternally in hell. And to the way we were taught was that if you did not accept that belief, that you would burn eternally in hell.
Mhm.
And I just do not believe that a good and loving God would make people suffer eternally in hell for things or doing things or existing in ways that are beyond our control.
Mhm.
Um, I would never punish my child with eternal damnation in hell for any sin
Yeah.
that I can think of.
Mhm.
Um, like very, very, the one I would probably have maybe the one thing I would not be able to excuse for myself is pedophilia. Um,
Absolutely.
that's like the one thing that I just can't wrap my head around.
Mhm.
Um,
But
but in
can God,
general, like,
you know, I mean,
yeah,
we don't know the mind of God. So can he?
yeah,
It's not for
because
anybody
like
to say except for him.
we've always been taught that like I mean, you could spend eternity, and I don't think people like understand. Like, you want to talk about giving someone anxiety, eternity
Mhm.
in hell,
Mhm.
like burning eternal torment for having a bad
Forever.
attitude.
Exactly.
All these things that I grew up learning and being taught was wrong, like having sex before marriage, um, being sexual, um,
Oh, at all. Yeah.
at all. I mean, and it was
Unpardonable
always like,
sin.
and even if you were, it had to be within the confines of marriage, which I don't totally disagree, but like we are sexual whether we're married or not.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so like there was a lot of like purity culture stuff around sex, obviously.
Yeah.
But like lying, stealing, and murder, like even murder, okay?
Hmm.
I do not obviously think that a person who murders people is a good person.
No.
I I don't know what happens when you die. My current situation there, like as far as like what I lean towards in my beliefs, is that like you like that God gives you like a talking to when you die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he either came to die for us all or he did not.
Right. I t To be honest, Sarah, I
And
tend to believe that people who do these heinous crimes, like
mm-hmm,
mass murders and stuff like that, if at anything, they're going to die and they're just going to die, and there's not going to
yeah.
be, maybe their soul is destroyed. It makes more sense that they just die and they just don't go anywhere. Um, and if there is a heaven,
So
then I don't
yeah.
I don't know.
Do you remember what like Tyler has said about these things? Tyler Henry? I just found it very curious from his point of view.
I haven't watched Tyler Henry in so long. I need to watch him again. Um, I did like his view. I remember that.
It made sense to me.
Yeah, go ahead and say it because I'm interested to remind.
Well, again, it's been a while since I've seen it, so my
Yeah.
accuracy may be a little off. But like essentially, like I mean, think about how many times he's done a reading, and there's been people who apologized for how they were in life,
Mhm. That's right. Yes. Yes, they were extremely
and they
remorseful
understood it
and they
once they
understood it.
passed, and they were genuinely remorseful.
Right. Because Sarah, their
And
minds were not corrupted anymore. Their
right.
minds were not, they
Well,
were they were
they
clear
were no
finally.
longer they were no longer living in a body with a nervous system that had been trained
Mhm.
to survive because they were so unsafe. And that's what turns people into these monsters.
Right.
It's
It's
I
about
honestly don't
upbringing.
believe that people
It's
are
about upbringing.
born, yeah. I don't think that people are born monsters.
No, I don't either.
Something happened. Something is wrong.
Right.
And that's why I feel like once you pass that, like you're given some sort of opportunity
Hmm.
to understand and make a decision.
Yeah.
Because most people these days do not hear about God in in a way that's even healthy or fully understood.
Yeah. Well, it's why so many people have chosen to be atheist or
Mm-hmm.
or just say, I don't really know if there's a higher power. If there
I
is,
mean,
whatever.
I believe that there is I definitely believe there's a higher power. I believe that there's a spirit world.
Mhm.
Um, there has to be a higher divine power.
Right.
Like I don't think
He
that
always did
I
say,
cannot deny that.
right.
But the God of the Bible to me is not
I
that
don't believe in
person.
him. I don't believe in
No,
that God for sure.
no. Like
I don't believe in the God that was presented to me from birth, from
no.
literally a child,
Well,
because
and
it
even
doesn't
just
make sense. If he died
no.
for us and he loves us even more than we can even love our own children, I would die for them. I would do anything for them. Anybody who knows me knows how fiercely I love my children. So
Yes.
if he loves them or me more than I could ever love them, it does not make sense. There's so many
Right.
contradictions in the Bible. They don't make sense and they should. they should make at least
Right.
some
There's so
sense.
much in the Bible that contradicts a loving God that I
Absolutely.
just can't take the Bible seriously.
Yeah.
Like I can see it as a historical document, sure,
Mhm.
but there's like throughout, there's just too much contradiction for it
Way
to
too much.
be like to actually represent who God is.
Absolutely.
And I know a lot of people will be upset with that. That's okay.
Totally
But I
okay.
think it's something that people really need to like look at because so much of what we have done our whole lives is just lazily swallow whatever we're told to swallow
Mhm.
and to not question.
Control.
But like, and get out here's the other thing. Go listen to the atheists and hear their questions. Go
Absolutely.
hear their perspective and their point of view of what the Bible is presenting because let me tell you, they don't hold back.
It makes total sense.
And like if you
It
want to
doesn't
like
make
answer
total sense, but
well,
I
but
can
like you
see where
can't
they're
put
coming
yourself in an
from.
echo chamber. You can't put yourself in an echo chamber where you're constantly being reaffirmed in what you already believe. You like that is just living in confirmation bias.
Right.
Like you have to get outside of your little freaking bubble and go look at the things that the atheists are presenting because you're going to have some really hard things. You need to ask the hard questions and
Yeah.
get out of your echo chamber because that's where the rubber meets the road.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
I know this sounds kind of off topic maybe to what we've been talking about, but like, the question was, what did being loving mean in your family or church? And what happened when you had needs? Well, a lot of these needs showed up in these kinds of questions
Mm-hmm.
and not being allowed to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
if you asked, then you were rebellious, and all of a sudden, sorry, my camera shifted. All of a sudden, they want to have like some sort of intervention for you because you're
You're
just
questioning.
going off the rails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
one
I
side
remember
of their mouth, they're saying it's okay to question. You need to ask your pastor all these questions. You need to question him.
they don't have the answers either because they don't
They
go
don't.
there.
And they don't, when they don't have the answers and they know they don't have the answers, they do not like to be questioned. You talk about encroaching on their masculinity of it, or oh, it was
Their
like,
ego.
yeah, there were only maybe a couple of people men that I remember being completely and totally comfortable with being questioned. And they would say they were also the ones that were comfortable in saying, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, you know.
Yeah.
But most of the men that I met if I had a question or anything like that, um, were very defensive if they didn't know. And a couple of times I was told that I just had to, when I couldn't, when I didn't have the answer, that I had to be satisfied with that and then take it by faith.
Oh, how convenient.
Which, I mean, okay, there's a lot that you have to take by faith, I guess, but not lies, you know?
No.
And they
Well,
were
here's the
lies.
thing. If you start going down going down the path of looking into these questions and finding answers, it's a threat to who you are. It is a threat to your identity. And especially when it comes to men, they don't handle that well
No.
because they would lose their power.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Especially when a woman starts to question why we have to do this, why we have to do that. And a lot of
And honestly, like a woman asking intelligent questions is threatening in and of itself.
Mhm. Yeah, women who are in evangelical world, the majority, I would say, Their worth is completely and totally balled up into how they can submit, how well they submit, how well they come under authority, authority of a man, whether they're
Yeah.
single or they're married. It is them conforming to that. I don't really know how
Yeah,
to.
it's how well they embody being like a submissive wife and mother,
Mhm.
and nothing really outside of that.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I am not there for it anymore. I actually have a family member who says that they are atheist, and I've thought about them a lot, because I think I would understand them more today. I know I would understand them more today. They've
yeah.
never been shown anything that makes them want to believe in God. And sorry, but I get that for sure.
I get that.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
they've always had a mind of their own. They've been allowed to have a mind of their own, which is a good thing. And they've not been controlled their whole life. So
Right.
they were raised by an evangelical mother, but they were raised by an older evangelical mother.
Okay.
So by the time they got to be able to think for themselves, they were, I guess, the mother was more tired, if that makes sense. They were tireder,
Yeah.
and it was their youngest. And so they just didn't see the point in fighting with them. So they let a lot of things go. And it
Yeah.
resulted in this person quite literally being a pretty well-rounded individual, in my opinion. And they have
Yeah.
a mind of their own, and they do not see anything, any good quality of believing in a God like that.
So, was this person the mother? I think I understand that they were single, right? Like, were they divorced or single or something?
No,
They're
not at the time of this child's upbringing.
they were not single and not divorced.
They were
That's
divorced.
something.
They had been divorced, but
Okay.
they were married to this person's father, and they got divorced when this child was like 17, 16, something like
Okay. Well,
that.
I just asked because and I've heard from friends who were in this world and they were either they had a single parent or their parent had been divorced, and those kids, I can't think of any that weren't treated differently, where the church didn't look at them as some sort of like project,
Oh, for sure.
um,
That's
or like
exactly, yeah.
yeah, like their experience within that environment was different,
Mhm.
and so
Well,
you would get
this mother
either
had,
judged
yes.
for the sins of your parent,
Mhm. Always,
and definitely treated differently.
yes.
Um, and you would always be on the prayer request roster in some way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
Um, and you're just always looked at differently.
Yes.
And so it's almost like you turn into the scapegoat of that community.
Mhm. Absolutely. Well, this child was had step siblings, and so
Okay.
there were the mother had children by her first husband and then had children by a second man. And it was really interesting because he was not as accepted as his siblings, who she had had children with by her first husband. His siblings weren't like completely accepted, like if it had been two parents who were still together and still go to church and
Well, that actually makes sense based on how a lot of times these scriptures are interpreted around divorce and remarriage.
Mhm.
Because like I know people who they were divorced somewhere, and it could be either somewhere in there, like they got saved in air quotes, and they were already remarried and have been told by like pastoral leadership that they needed to divorce their current spouse and try to go back to the first one
Yes.
because somehow tearing apart your family again is more godly.
Yes. Yes. It was like
Because
two
by being
wrongs.
married, you are cheating on your first spouse.
Right. It was like two wrongs made that
Yeah,
right
they're trying
some
to
way.
make two wrongs make a right.
I remember thinking, I'm not sure, I can't remember, like, I think my mother was told that at one point in time, and I think she believed that at one time in her life.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% about that, so don't quote me on it, but I remember thinking, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like,
Right?
yeah, she had to divorce her current husband and get back with her first husband or just stay single. And
Yeah.
that was like a big one, was that she would have to get divorced and just, if she didn't want to go back to her first husband, because her first husband had already moved on and gotten married several times more. And so that wasn't, you know, so she just needed to stay single and she just needed to tough it out, continue to, when
Right.
reality was she needed a man to make it through life. Anyway, so that idea um, that you have to do all these wrong things to fix it, and
Yeah. And
it's somebody else's. It's someone else's. You are getting this information from people who have no idea what it's like to be in your shoes. Absolutely none. They have no idea
right.
who you are, no matter how many times you're telling them that, no matter how many times you're confiding in them. They still have no clue. Sarah, as many times as I've told you my situation, as many times as
Yeah.
you've told me your situation, we can give each other our opinions, but there's absolutely no way that we can truly 100% know what it's like to be in each other's shoes.
No.
Absolutely no way. The only thing we can do at the end of the day is support each other. And if we choose not to do that, there's no point in moving on.
Right.
So
right.
why do these people think that they just know? I mean, I remember thinking that I knew what somebody was supposed to do to get their life straight. I remember thinking that. And I'm like, who the hell was I to even, like, what was wrong in my head?
It's like when your kids think they know what you should do as adults. And they're very adamant about like, we'll just do this, and they're like, you do not know all the layers of consideration that I have to make in
Yeah,
order to do X, Y, or Z.
right,
Like, it's not that simple.
right.
And you're also like, you're still working through your own like nervous system of what's acceptable and what's not, and what you want.
Right.
Like, what is your goal?
Yep.
It, nothing is just like black and white or cut and dry.
No.
And ripping families apart is never the answer when they're already happy.
Exactly. And the
Just
thing
because
is
of
that,
your opinion and idea, that is
right,
very skewed. I'm sorry, but like the beliefs around like divorce and remarriage in the cult that we came from were so
oh, it's
screwed
awful.
up.
It's awful.
Like they hurt more people with it than they've ever helped.
And looking back, knowing what I know now, especially not with just like my own personal situation with my mom and what she went through, but looking back, what they would tell women who were divorced and remarried, and what they told my mom, it was more like she was not happy with anyone that she married or was with. She was just not happy. And so that was then interpreted to her not being a Christian, her not being in a right relationship with God. That was how it was interpreted. And so if she would just fix that, then she would start living the way that she was supposed to live. There was no consideration in the fact that she was mentally unstable. She was dealing with so much from childhood, from her upbringing, that she had just stuffed down, and still to this day stuffs down and stuffs down. And when that is not addressed at all, and you just assume that the only thing you can do is press on and never deal with it, that's the result. This unsatisfactory life, she was never going to be happy with anyone. Absolutely no whatsoever. She wasn't happy married. She's not happy single. She's not happy, all these things. I think she's happier now in one sense because she's older, and a lot of her, like in her mind, she is more settled because she no longer cares what people think to an extent. And that's just age. That's just age.
Yeah.
But there's still so much work that has to be done to help you live, I feel like, a fulfilled life here on earth. And you can't do it without addressing your trauma. You just can't.
Yes. Well, I mean, it kind of circles back to like where we started was, what being loving meant. And really, okay, so a couple things. I believe that as an adult that you're responsible to seek healing.
Absolutely.
What also happens is if you're in these groups, they prevent you by their own theology of finding true healing.
Yes.
Because like we said, everything is spiritually bypassed and turned into some sort of weird spiritual need. And you just get platitudes of, well, God won't give you more than you can handle, which is also a complete lie.
It is.
It's not even what that says. But like you get those kinds of comments where everything's either gets turned into like some sort of toxic positive comment or a spiritually bypassed thing where it's some spiritual problem with you. And so if you are dealing with all this, and again, I'm like very familiar with this because like there was a particular, so like when it came to like anger, was something that someone I know dealt with really badly. And they ended up in a Bible study about anger, right? None of these people who are leading the Bible study are professionals who understand anger and how to process it. These are all just like lay people in the church just going through some Bible study who God knows what it's from.
Right.
And what these, like the theology even of that study.
Right.
But that person thought that their anger was healed because God really dealt with them, in air quotes, when in fact it was just something that made them feel good for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because their behavior did not change.
Right.
In fact, it got worse. And so they're holding people back from real help.
Right. Absolutely.
Because they put Band-Aids on everything with these spiritual little Bible studies.
Yeah.
Like a Bible study is not going to heal decades worth of suppressed anger.
No. Going to the altar is not going to heal it.
No.
This idea that God is going to just zap you clean. I believe miracles happen. I do.
Well, they act like entire
Like,
sanctification does the work of like years of therapy.
Perfects the human. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like,
it's ridiculous.
if any one group of religious group believes in like a mythical world where magic actually happens and they promote it, it's the evangelicals. It's the CHM more specifically.
Yeah. So, with all the stuff, like the insanity around the, beliefs around divorce and like, essentially divorcees become like the black sheep of the community, and their children.
Absolutely.
It's really sad and messed up.
Mm-hmm.
But so the next question in this line of questioning is, well, first it says, what did conflict feel like in your body? Which, stress. That can come out in so many different ways. Like for me, it has almost literally felt like I was being strangled, like internally, because I didn't feel like I could say when I needed to.
Yeah.
And it became like I was so used to holding back.
Yeah.
What I needed and what I wanted to say, that it like my body would literally shut it down, like lock the mechanism for me to actually speak. Like it was that deep, and I still struggle. So
that's so interesting,
yeah.
Sarah. I remember hurting right here.
Mm-hmm.
Right here.
It can
so
physically
painful.
hurt. Mm-hmm. And like my chest would get really tight.
Oh my goodness. I never associated that with needing to speak.
Yeah, it will literally lock your muscles. Like,
I have not hurt right there in probably 2 years. I can't remember
makes sense.
last time.
Yeah. Like for me, it can like, it's a variance of like intensity.
Yeah.
But I mean, it has definitely been that bad on multiple occasions where I felt like I was literally being almost like choked or strangled.
Yeah.
Always like this like tight feeling in my chest and kind of like trying to breathe, and I like either can't or almost hyperventilate. But you're just like, it's almost like I freeze.
Yeah.
Like my whole body just locks in, like the muscles literally engage into locking me in like a freaking possum.
Wow.
I mean, because I have been in like really intense situations where, I mean, my body absolutely felt like that was the only safe option.
Yes.
Where you just freeze, quite literally. And so like that, you just write it out. And then like even talking about it, I can feel it. Like I'm actually getting a little lightheaded.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really intense.
Like people who are listening, listen, there are actual detrimental physical repercussions. Like you have physical responses to abuse and trauma, and they can be life-threatening.
Yeah.
Like this is the reality.
For even you, I and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you have a response that is a type of freeze, because whenever you get threatened, your body shuts down.
But yes, my body does completely shut down. Like I go into complete shutdown mode. It happens in so many different ways. Like if I have to go to a gathering that just saps me of energy, I can tell on the way home that I'm starting to go like disassociate, and I
It
have
puts you to
to.
sleep. It literally puts you to sleep.
I walk into the house and I crash. Literally, it happens
Yeah.
every single time.
And you get a headache.
Oh, severe. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes. Normally it's just like a normal headache, but when it turns into a migraine, there's usually like more than one thing going on. But yeah, I completely shut down. And if I do not sleep and I just try to go through it, it's worse when the next shutdown comes then. Like I'm not just out for a couple of hours, I'm out for a couple of days. And so,
Yeah.
and that is like, that's a completely mental, physical response from my upbringing. And yes,
Yeah.
I need to work through it. And I've been trying to work through it. I've never
Yeah.
stopped trying to work through
I
it.
feel like it's gotten better recently.
Oh, it's gotten a lot better recently.
Yeah.
But I can date it back to an event, or not an
Yeah.
event, a decision that I made to make it better.
Yeah.
Didn't think that it
Yeah.
would. I didn't put two and two together, but it
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
actually pretty freaking amazing that your body is that in tune.
Yes.
And most people don't understand how much their body is affected, like their physical body is affected, and how addressing the physical body, not necessarily the psychological part, will actually heal the psychological versus trying to be intellectual to go the other direction.
Yeah.
If you address like the somatic side of it, like the body side of it, it's a lot more effective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
So
it's
like
one of the
becoming in
reasons.
tune to your body.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I thought, oh, I do think that we were created by an intelligent being. You know.
Yeah. It's actually just in the end, it's really crazy how much everything is connected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how this does land in our bodies quite literally.
Yeah.
It's not just something out in the air, you know.
Right. Well, and just like you explaining like the lockup with your muscles and stuff, I don't think, I mean, I've never associated what happened to me, like this pain that happened to me whenever I felt like I couldn't speak. Like like if I was in that moment where I was just trying to write it out,
Yeah.
that's when it would happen. It has happened before when I'm trying to instruct my children, and I feel like that I know what way to go, but I
Yeah.
have this fear that I'm going to mess it up, or
Yeah.
that I'm going to mess them up, or you know,
Well,
definitely happened in my conversations with CHMers for
oh
sure.
yeah,
Probably
for sure.
more than happened
Well,
anywhere else.
just to kind of wrap up, like the last question of this section is, what did you believe would happen if you stopped pleasing people? I
Exactly what
mean,
did happen when I did
I
stop.
mean, yeah, and were we wrong? No, we were
Nope,
not.
nope.
But like getting the courage to not care anymore about their opinions and thoughts and ideas about who we were as a person. I mean, we had to overcome that.
Yeah.
Like it mattered more to us that we were able to be our authentic self and live in a way that did not require us to have like cognitive dissonance about what we believed and what we did.
Mm-hmm.
And like, because strangely enough, like how you and I want to live authentically,
Mm-hmm.
like we actually care about people and how we impact their lives.
Yes.
And our goal is not to control the other people
Not at all.
around us. Um, our goal is just to show love and kindness.
Mhm.
And like I can't make decisions for other people.
Right.
Like I mean, if they ever ask my opinion, I'm happy to give it, but um people have to make their own decisions, and you have to be okay with letting them do that, because that's manipulation to try and control other people's life choices.
Absolutely.
And just because they make a different life choice than you does not make them wrong. Like, they are doing what is right for them.
Right.
And it does, I feel like in some, I don't know, some people I think might feel like it reflects on them somehow. I don't know.
Mhm.
Um, might depend on the relationship with that person.
Yeah.
Um, like if it's a say like a parent-child relationship, if they're not making decisions that they feel like they taught them to make, then they probably take it more personally, even though it's not. But those kind of relationships between a parent and child are unhealthy if that's how you're viewing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, that's enmeshment and it's projection.
Right. Yeah. And if
So,
the people who feel like that they have to control someone in order to spend time with them, they have to, you know, make sure that this person lines up to, you know, well, just like over the weekend, I was confronted again with a situation where I was in sort of a debate with someone, and
mm,
they could not get past the fact that I no longer called myself a Christian. And so they constantly kept trying to explain to me what that meant to not be a Christian. And their interpretation of it was that if I didn't believe that I was a Christian and I didn't believe the Bible, therefore, there's absolutely no way, shape, or form that I could believe that God existed and I had any kind of relationship with him. So it was like their interpretation had to be my interpretation in order for them to be able to go home and sleep at night. And it's complete and utter bullshit. Like that kind
yeah.
of control over someone else, them not being able to walk away and be okay with the fact that they don't see eye to eye with you on a subject
Mhm.
is so, I mean, uh,
Well, it's interesting because okay, so they have this identity tied to a word and their understanding of a word.
yep.
And they're not even focused at all on your actual behavior
Mhm.
towards other people.
Right. No, it's all
So, like,
about their interpretation. It's so clouded because there's so much else, minute details that get in the way of your actions, your authentic actions towards other people. Like,
well, people in that cult, that their identity is in everything exterior, from words to your clothes.
yeah,
And I mean, like, our entire experience is of us observing people say one thing and do another.
yeah. Well, and
Like,
it's why they cover up why they're able to cover up pedophilia and rape is because if you look a certain way and you are a certain way in public, like you
mhm.
wear a certain hat in public, then you're okay. And if you
Well,
repent,
because
you're a male and you repent, then
they
that's
find
okay.
salvation in their external identity.
Yeah. And they're much more, if you're a woman in that world and something happens to you, you better watch out because nobody's going to believe you. Nobody.
Oh no.
It's it's all going to be about the man and what he says, and what did the woman do to provoke the man into doing something like this to her, and the whole
Yeah.
shebang. So,
Well, everything is going to be victim blaming. I think I don't think I've experienced seeing them not blame the victim. So just from my own personal experience, um, but yeah, like their world is very tied up in a very shallow identity, like extremely shallow. Like they do not engage in the hard work of answering the hard questions and looking outside their own biases and looking outside their own echo chambers. They just live in a world where everyone just affirms them over and over and over again, for the dumbest things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, you're such a great Christian lady because you've worn your hair like that since 1952 and worn skirts and dresses and, look like a 1952 housewife.
And you've stayed with your husband, so you must be some kind of saint.
Saint, yeah. I mean, everything is external and shallow.
100%.
There's no authenticity allowed.
100%.
So of course, when it comes to like real, true, loving behavior, it is not present. True love in that environment is a threat.
Yeah, absolutely. Because really, Sarah, to actually truly love someone, to care about them, is to call them out on their crap.
Well, call them out in like healthy ways, but also like allowing them to make their own decisions and let them go.
Absolutely. But I'm talking about like me towards the abusers.
Right.
To actually truly love them.
Well, to call out abuse when it's there and to actually address it and not sweep it under the rug and give it all kinds of excuses because you don't want to ruin that young preacher boy's life,
Right.
Never mind the fact that you're ruining the victim's life.
Right. And more towards like in my situation and probably in yours, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if I am unable to call it out because I feel like the consequences would be greater than what would be beneficial when I would call it out, the ability and the respect enough for myself to walk away from that relationship. That's stronger and it's more loving, honestly, than a knockdown drag out, to be honest.
Yeah. Like it is loving to walk away from a relationship that is harming you, but also like being like, if you were to stay, that would teach that person that it's okay to treat you that way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That there are no consequences to hurting people, even when they've told you, hey, this is hurting me.
You're not doing them any favors either. I mean, you think you're staying to appease them and to make them happy. That's not them being able to control
you. You're just enabling them.
Yeah, you're enabling them in their abuse. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
So
anyways, I think that'll wrap us up for this week. We could obviously talk for hours.
We could.
About this. But we will come back next week to dive even deeper. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you enjoy this content, if it's helpful for you, it takes like a millisecond to click those buttons. So anyways, thank you all for listening, and we will see you next week. Hopefully nobody gets sick again.
Oh, not.
We're trying hard over here, guys.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.
You've been listening on the party line to I'm on the Phone podcast with Sarah and Christy. Join us again next week for more stories about our pre, post, and mid-culty life. Thanks for listening.